It's the Texas weather discussion video for Friday the 9th of April. I'm Donovan Neal. Low storm chances possible today, very conditional, but most places will stay dry for today and throughout this weekend. So let's take a look at the upper air look across the nation this morning. You can see an upper low will be rotating to the northeast after staying pretty persistent here across the Midwest over the last 24 hours. New trough emerges from the Rockies, but this is the look at the radar at 9:28 this morning. You can see some scattered showers and storms exiting the north central Texas region and moving to the northeast. Those will taper out this afternoon. Let's take a look at the temperatures earlier this morning, mostly in the upper 60s, low 70s. We're anticipating a high close to 90 today. Not much on the watch warning map this morning, but that will soon change later this afternoon and evening, where we have severe weather all the way from the south central plains all the way to parts of the deep south and the mid-Atlantic region, and where the main bullseye is the enhanced and moderate risks over the Arklatex region, the Mississippi Delta, and some of the adjacent states. Let's take a look at the probabilistic outlooks. This is the probability of a tornado occurring within 25 miles of a given point within the zone. And you can see that's maximized over the moderate risk area where they have a 10% along the Mississippi Delta. Let's take a look at the wind outlook, and that's going to be the greatest concern over this region, is the strong straight line wind threat. You can see that's pretty much a 50-50 chance of seeing severe wind gusts within 25 miles of a given point within that zone. Of course, that's very high, and lower probabilities surround that. And let's take a look down here in our neck of the woods. We have a standard slight risk of severe storms for parts of Dallas-Fort Worth, up towards Denton, Gainesville, Greenville, Lufkin, and some of the surrounding areas. And of course, a marginal risk to the west of I-35W along a line from Wichita Falls to Austin to Houston to south of Galveston. And of course, enhanced risk for the northeastern two-thirds of the state. Let's take a look at the hail probability. Now, that's going to be our greatest concern this afternoon and evening if storms were able to develop, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But you can see with the hail threat, we have those black lines. That's a hatched area. That means we could have some situations where we could see some hail greater than 2 inches within the 15 and 30% zones. And of course, that's very significant. We're very famous for hailstorms, but I'll talk about that here in a second. And then tomorrow, that activity shifts off to the east towards Alabama. And then on day 3, which is Sunday, marginal risk extends from Florida down to the mid-Atlantic coast. Take a look at the rain for the next 7 days. Not much here, mostly in the deep south. Down here, generally below an inch for the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, higher amounts to the east. So, weather weenies, let's take a look at the dailies here. This is the GFS, this is the 06Z run valid this afternoon at 1 o'clock local time at 500 millibars, around 18 to 20,000 feet off the ground. You can see that upper low rotating to north central Wisconsin. Another trough emerges from the Rockies, and then down here, the deep south, mostly moist, unstable, and relatively warm. Now let's take a look at the WRF, one of the models here, 7 o'clock, valid 7 o'clock this evening, and you can see not much activity for much of North Texas, and that's what we're expecting here, because storms, because of the cap, which is a warm layer aloft, that's going to inhibit most of the scattered thunderstorm development. But if storms do break the cap, if a couple of storms do break the cap, they will turn severe pretty quickly, with very large hail being the prominent threat. And they're going to turn very unstable quickly because they're in a very unstable environment. As you can see here, this is severe weather parameters. A lot of CAPE to work with, and it's going to be more like a spring to summer day where storms are going to be isolated, and if 1 or 2 storms develop, they're going to turn severe pretty quickly and pose a threat for large hail. The good news is there's a lack of helicity or veering of the wind with altitude in relation to storm motion, so we don't have to worry too much about a tornado risk, though we could see 1 or 2 isolated tornadoes if any storm decides to develop here. But most of the tornado threat will be maximized across the Arklatex region, where they will be getting that main band of showers and thunderstorms. As you can see here, this is the radar at noon today. No, not at noon, at midnight. You can see most of the activity stretching all the way down south to the northeastern two-thirds of the state. But down here we're pretty much dry. So I'd say the best chance of severe storms, if any severe storm were to develop, anywhere from 3 to 8 for the Metroplex, extending into midnight for areas along and east of US 75. And of course, with any storm to develop, large hail will be the greatest concern. Now here's the synoptic scale look. We pretty much dry out on Saturday, mostly sunny, not a cloud in the sky, highs mostly in the mid to upper 70s, and then Sunday pretty much the same deal. Introduce a few clouds here and there, highs in the low 80s, and then Monday pretty much the same deal, mixing sun and clouds, highs in the low 80s, and then same thing Tuesday, though we could see, this is suggesting we could see showers too during the afternoon. On Tuesday will be mostly cloudy, and then same deal on Wednesday. It looks like we can have a chance of rain statewide, with highs struggling to reach 70 due to the clouds and the rain-cooled air. And then on Tuesday, we pretty much dry out here in North Texas, or try to at least. We do note an upper level low just to the northwest of the Texas Panhandle. Let's go out a week from today, Friday the 16th. Trough in the west, trough in the east. That upper low shifts down to Wichita Falls, and that's right. That could be a potential severe weather outlook for parts of West Texas and parts of North Central Texas, but we'll get to that as the time approaches. Let's take a look to the end of the forecast period. This is Monday the 19th of April. You can see we have troughiness in New York, and we're dry here. And let's take a look at the QPF off the European ensemble. Mean staying below an inch, though do note some members exceed 4 inches. Take a look at the numbers here. Mostly having a chance of reaching 90 today, and then for the next 7 days, we'll mostly stay in the upper 60s to low 70s. Lows may even reach the upper 40s in some spots, so some frosty mornings ahead. And let's take a look at the CPC outlook. Now, it's interesting to note that it's forecasting a pretty good chance of seeing some below average temperatures. So like I said a couple seconds ago, we could see a few frosty mornings, not a total freeze, but a few frosty mornings in some low-lying areas. That's it for the Texas weather discussion video for today. More notes in the blog. My next video will be posted sometime next week. If you can catch your local TV stations on the air at 4, 5, 6, and 10 o'clock. Thanks for watching. Have a great weekend, and Godspeed.